Hello, and welcome to Around the Political World with John Rothman. I am your host, John Rothman. If you're a fan of the show, make sure to hit the follow button on the top right of Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you are listening at this very moment. When you hit follow, leave a review or share an episode with a friend. It helps other people discover the show, keeps us going, and expands our base, which, of course, is our goal. Every day when I sit down to record, I stop and I think, how can it get worse? Well, the answer is clear. An extraordinary breach in security took place yesterday, or at least we found out about it yesterday. Jeffrey Goldberg, the editor of The Atlantic, published a story that is almost incomprehensible, beyond belief. So let's explain. Somehow, for some reason, he ended up on a link discussing highly classified secret information about the attack by the United States on the Houthis. Participating in this conference was the Vice President of the United States, the Secretary of State, the Secretary of Defense, the National Security Advisor to the President. In short, 18 key elements, individuals involved in national security, all right there. And what do we hear from the White House? Oh, it was not particularly significant. It was not important. Let me tell you something. If this had been the administration of Joe Biden or the administration of Barack Obama or the administration of any Democrat in the White House, the Republicans would have been up in arms. They would have said this is unconscionable, impossible. But what do we get from them now? Oh, we'll do an investigation. We're concerned about it. And the White House is downplaying what has become, I believe, the most significant breach in American security by the principals. Do you understand? Not second-level people, the principals who did not use the most secure lines. There is something here unbelievable. And Jeffrey Goldberg, let me tell you, he was in on that meeting accidentally. Nobody seemed to wonder who that person, Jeffrey Goldberg, was. But here's the kicker. He did not publish vital information that he heard during those conversations. He didn't publish it because he was afraid it would jeopardize the lives of American personnel, of people fighting the Houthis. And you know what? The White House insists, there was no security breach. Not really. No damage was done. Are they out of their minds? The time has come to understand very clearly that we have rank amateurs running our government. And these are people put in place by the man who is supposed to be the best judge of character, Donald J. Trump. This is something we better think about and talk about. And even as I begin this podcast, there is a hearing taking place in Congress. Tulsi Gabbard, the head of National Security and Intelligence, is going to be one of the people testifying. And let's be clear about this. Lest there be any ambiguity, there were questions about her qualifications, but she supervises 18 separate intelligence agencies. I can't wait to hear what Tulsi Gabbard has to say. And I can't wait to hear what people in the Republican leadership are going to say. Now, we are told that there are some Republicans who already are saying there has to be a full investigation. That is good news. It really is. But let me ask you a question. What do you think they think in Moscow or in Beijing when they hear about this kind of an intelligence breach? And when, by the way, the discussion didn't even take place on a truly secure line. This is, negligence at its height. Now, the White House has already sprung into the mode of, these are all good people, a mistake may have been made, but these are all good people. Let me tell you something. That won't fly, and it shouldn't fly. Every day when I begin this podcast, I think, as I said previously, it can't get worse. But it is. And what's most interesting to me is the president's comment, I don't know anything about it. I just heard about it, don't know anything about it. And then the attack by the White House on Jeffrey Goldberg, a reporter doing his job. It reminds me when, in the Nixon years, there were attacks on Woodward and Bernstein. No, my friends, This is something very serious. And then I thought of something else. Imagine what Hillary Clinton went through. That's right, not that I want to mention something from history, but I want you to understand what Hillary Clinton did. Well, it wasn't smart, probably cost her the election, erasing all those emails. But this, my friends, was not erasing emails. This was the top national security people in the United States government on an unsecure line, having a reporter who was invited to participate, and nobody even questioned him. Nobody asked who he was. He sat silently and simply listened. And then he did the ultimate patriotic thing. What did he do? He only published the material that he felt was not highly classified, that would not impinge upon the operation. Let me tell you something. If there was nothing there, maybe he should reveal it all. Maybe if there was no threat to national security, he should just release all the information that he picked up in that conversation. I'd like to know, and I will be listening carefully to the hearing, which will begin shortly, what the administration's response is. I'm going to be listening carefully to how, not just the Democrats, but the Republicans, how critical are they? I want to conclude this podcast by simply saying this. Donald Trump promised his voters and the American people a secure administration where there would be no breaches, where they would do the right thing. So, Mr. President, who do you hold accountable? Who goes? You can't dismiss the Vice President of the United States. Of course, there's an issue with the Secretary of Defense. What do you do about the Secretary of State? What do you do about the National Security Advisor to the President? What do you do about the head of U.S. National Intelligence? These are real issues. And the fact of the matter is that this was a total failure on a massive scale by the Trump administration. And it is something which all of us should be aware of and concerned about. So I'm going to listen to that hearing. I'm going to listen with great care. I know you are too. But all I can say is unbelievable, unbelievable, an extraordinary breach of security brought on this administration by itself. Thanks for tuning into another episode of Around the Political World with John Rothman. Make sure to follow along. Let me know your thoughts on the show by leaving a review on Apple Podcasts and sharing an episode with a friend or colleague so we can continue to grow and expand, which is, of course, our goal. Let people know about this podcast. That's the message. And of course, I want to let you know you can interact with me, as many of you do, on LinkedIn, on Facebook, and by directly emailing me. And finally, a big thanks to Gogo Zoger, the wonderful producer of this podcast. We'll be back tomorrow, and God knows what we're going to be talking about. What's going to happen? I mean, I can't wait. I am John Rothman, and you are listening to Around the Political World with John Rothman. See you tomorrow.